He's out there in the rain. He's out there in the sunshine. He's out there looking to find the best in movies and music. Our resident guru on all things movies and music, Barry Rushton.
Barry J.
Hello, Jared. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a bit cold still, isn't it, mate? Warm up by the fire.
I presume, Barry, last week you had a wonderful Queen's birthday weekend?
Well, it was a week off, I must admit. I always have a good time when I go away. You know, it was great. Great. Just been over to see my son, our son, I should say, in Adelaide. A lovely boy. He's a great kid.
Which one was that,
This was
Barry?
Harley.
Harley. This is your oldest boy?
Oldest boy. Well, he's not as old. Shahan's the oldest, but he's the oldest of Karen and our lot.
I'll just say to our audience, could you just excuse us? We're just going to have a chat about nothing for about 10 minutes.
Just get into the program. May I tell you what, though? You know, I didn't see any good movies on the flight going over, but I have seen a couple of beauties.
Yes.
There's one opening this Thursday coming up. It's called Churchill. Now, obviously, we know who that's about, right? But it's played by a guy called Brian Cox. You know, you'll see Brian Cox does a magnificent job. Smoker. Oh man. But anyway, he's got Oscar material, I think.
You have to smoke cigars all the way through.
Everybody smokes in that back in those days.
Isn't it awful when you see it now?
Isn't it funny you should say that, because I was saving that comment for the end, but in actual fact it was off-putting a little bit because everyone was, you know, and you're focusing on that more than anything else, which is weird. Anyway, he plays a great part. He obviously plays Churchill. What I like about the movie is set in a real tortuous time. It was back just prior to D-Day. So we're talking sort of 6th of June, 1944.
The 72nd, was it 73rd? Anniversary?
Yes, it was, what is it, 44? Yes, 73rd. Yes.
Yep.
And so it was and the reason it was a tortuous time is because and you see it at the very first opening scene. You know, he's pondering, he's thinking, and he's thinking about World War I, when they lost so many Allied troops in Gallipoli. You know, there was at least 200,000 Allied troops, and these young people just went to their death, you know. And so now they're setting up this invasion of France.
How many are we going to lose?
That's exactly. There was a million Allied troops to do this, you know, to actually get going. And to be frank, at this stage, the whole war, this overlord was really structured by Dwight Eisenhower and Montgomery. And they were trying to shuffle him out, and he was, only because they thought he was getting a bit old and he was living back in World War I, and it's now World War II, things have changed, you know, this kind of carry on. And they had a window of opportunity to do this semi-surprise invasion. And Churchill was languishing about the fact that, you know, they'd lost so many men before. He thought it was just too risky, absolutely too risky. But and then they had to delay it by a day. But see, you couldn't delay it too long because there was only that window of opportunity. Just a little bit there, you see.
Sounds fascinating.
Oh, it is great. And Dwight Eisenhower is played by a guy called John Slattery. When you see him, he's really, really good, you know. And so consequently then, you see Churchill trying to disrupt it. You know, the bad weather came in and he was secretly kind of glad.
He was dragging his feet.
He was really dragging his feet and trying many different tactics. So have a watch of this.
For 5 long years, we have asked our men to endure the tribulations of war. General Eisenhower.
Winston.
General Montgomery.
Mr. Churchill.
What a gathering. If Hitler were to drop a bomb on this little patch, he would destroy the entire high command of our Allied forces.
We are here to make the greatest decision of our lives.
The invasion of France, taking the German army head on. I've seen this before. 250,000 men were cut down at Gallipoli. We must spread the risk.
The plans for D-Day have been in place for over a month.
I don't want to make the same mistake.
The forces are not carrying out your plans.
We're taking care of it. You need to let us do the job.
I beg your pardon. I am the Prime Minister of this country, and I shall not be stopped from speaking my mind.
You can't just change everything over the heads of our allies.
Don't assume you're the only one capable of making decisions.
I need your help.
Try acting like a hero, Winston, and then maybe people will believe that you are one.
Men will die.
That's enough! My fiancé is on one of those ships. I'm sorry. I have no right.
You have every right.
He's not the man he was. He could be a liability as a leader. Would you have us do nothing with the Nazis massing 20 miles off our shores?
No! I would have us do more!
Barry, I'm going to love this movie.
Strong character, strong.
Look great.
The reason I like it is because the actual screenwriter was an historian, a guy called Alex von Tinselmann. Well, he wrote this thing.
Very close.
Pretty close. It is close too, without looking at the notes. But what he's done is he's portrayed Churchill with as many of his failings as well as his actual successes, you know. And you kind of like that because he was a bad-tempered bastard, you know, really, and a drunkard, you know. And his wife, Clementine, you know, she was the one who had to battle through this and hold him up. You see, even to try and twist this, Churchill said, "Well, I'm going to go with you guys on the ships," and he even talked to King George VI and said, "Why don't we go and, you know, we should be out there in front of the men," and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the king actually, apparently so, had agreed to it initially, but then he met him the next day and said, "Look, look, we can't do that." He says, "Our job is at home. You know, we need to rally everybody here, you know." And that's when he did that great speech, of course. You know, we will fight them on the beaches and so on and so forth. You know, so I do like it from that sense. Now, the critics have given it a bit of mixed reviews, but the more I think about it and the more I think back at the movie, it is very enjoyable. And this, as I say, Brian Cox does a superb job.
Well, I can only say, Barry, what a fabulous baby boomer movie. I mean, it is perfect.
It's right down the barrel for this one.
This is, you know, I mean, nowhere near the deaths.
Churchill's view that there were thousands, millions, zillions were going to be slaughtered. Yeah. They were lucked out, only because they didn't think it was going to happen. The Germans didn't think it was going to happen. In fact, one of the major, I think it was Himmler, went home to his house to take his wife a dress for a birthday party. That's why they didn't think for a moment it was going to come there. You know, he would have said, "Oh, I made a mistake there."
There was another president later on blamed it on the dress too, wasn't it?
Very good. Churchill starts Thursday, mate. See you next week.
Thanks,